What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next, got this really big unboxing here. I've got 4 boxes. I've been waiting to open these ones for a little while. I think one of these is from like February. Some awesome books in here, some Golden Age books, silver, I think there's some bronze, just some really, really cool books. Excited for this one. Stay tuned to see what we got. So before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. We've got 4 boxes here, a bunch of great books. I think there's probably a total, because 3 of the boxes just have 1 book in them. The other one I think has 4 or 5, so probably about somewhere between 7 and 8 books. This one was one that I picked up recently that I think is it's tough on this one because I feel like a lot of the easy move, if you want to say the spec on it has happened. These books have moved up quite a bit, but I felt like this was a really good price on this book. This one is especially uncommon, and so I decided to pick it up. It's a trend that if you can find these books raw out there, or books like this, they are definitely worth picking up if you can get them at a kind of like a good price. Send them off to get graded. You generally want high grades of these ones. You want them up in the 9s. But because of, and I know it's kind of can be a hot button topic. This is something that's largely because of the popularity, the growing popularity of graded games. And so when people have graded games, they're often also fans of graded comic books, and so they like to present them together. Like I have a graded game of Punisher, and it's just a cool game that you can display next to like an ASM 129. And so this is a graded copy of Nintendo Comic Systems #1. There's an unnumbered copy of this too. It's like Nintendo Comic Systems. I don't know if it's 0 or NN. It might be 0. And that's like a yellow cover. That one's also a big book. But there are 2 variants for this one. There's one that doesn't have the price and one that does. The one that has the price is actually much harder to find. There are a lot less of these, especially when you're talking about these books in high grade. So it's like with books like Nintendo Power. If you're not aware, Nintendo Power #1 is a very valuable book. Even at like a 7.0, it's over $1,000. And so these early Nintendo books, they're just, Mario's a super popular character. Link is a really popular character. It's too bad that this isn't the Samus from Metroid, because if it was, then it would just be like the big 3 from Nintendo, but it's this, Captain N, the Game Master. I don't even know who that is. And I played Nintendo a lot when I was a kid, and so I don't even know who Captain N is, but he's on the cover of this. But this book is extremely tough to get in high grade. There's actually only 3 of these graded on the census, I believe. I think that's what it was. The unpriced one, there's like 12, something along those lines. I think there's a 9.6. I think this is the second highest graded. It's out of 3. But yeah, super nice looking copy. It's that classic Nintendo black and red. I think it's just such a cool cover. This is a heavy book. This is hefty. Think about that. 1990, this was $10 for this thing. That's like 3 supersized, Big Mac meals from McDonald's. But yeah, look at this thing. It's a thick book. I always bought those guides and everything when I was a kid, especially for games like Final Fantasy and stuff. So I thought this was a cool one to pick up. It's just works well with that trend, but also just I played Nintendo a lot when I was a kid too. I think that cool book to have graded and in a nice grade. So yeah, that's the first one. And what I was talking about with those games is that there are a lot of these Nintendo Power or Nintendo Comics Systems covers that have Mario or Mario 3 or Mario 2, those kinds of things, and just they're what people are looking to match up with games, and so they're cool books to pick up. And like that one would look great next to either like a graded copy of Zelda or a graded copy of Mario. I don't know if you'd use like Duck Hunt for the Game Master or what, but all right, this one, man, there's a bunch of books in here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we got 5 books in this one. So means we should have a total of 8 in this unboxing. Let's see what we got here. Because I think this is the one that, this may be the one from like February. It just kept falling to, I was opening other, I had gotten other things in that I've opened since then. And this one just kept falling to the bottom of my, yeah, this is definitely the one from February. Falling to the bottom of my list, and I just kept not opening it, and now I finally decided to do it. Yeah, there's a nice mix of books in here. There's some cool books in this one. All right, so the first one, I always think it is always good to pick up early Amazing Spider-Man. And this was Amazing Spider-Man number 1250. This is the 3rd appearance of Doc Ock. His first appearance in issue number 3 is extremely expensive. Thousands of dollars for even a point. Well, over $1,000 for a 0.5, but thousands of dollars for most other grades. And but yeah, 3rd appearance, much more affordable, but cool cover. You've got Doc Ock, demasking Spider-Man. This one has, this is actually one of the higher grades I've seen with tape. And so that's something where I generally, about the highest I've ever seen is around a 5. Maybe I've seen a 6. The tape is on the back cover here. And it's kind of like it's not doing anything. There's this little tear here, and maybe that's what it was trying to protect. But this is what I've talked about with tape. This is why tape is so bad. It stains the cover. This is why you end up getting so much lower grades with tape. It's not so much the tape, it's the damage the tape has done to the book. And now you've got this large stain that's on the cover. But otherwise, nice presenting 5.0. You've got that quote-unquote stain from the tape on the back. But I always will buy Amazing Spider-Man if I think it's a good deal. Those early issues, first 20 issues, you cannot go wrong with Silver Age early Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, yeah, there's going to be peaks and valleys and all that, but they trend up. Everybody loves Spider-Man, or most people love Spider-Man. He is the most popular character out there, and there is not much question to that. All right, this is a book I talked about, not this one specifically, but similar books quite a few months ago, because it was in an auction that happened to have a number of these. And this was one of them that I ended up picking up. And this is Avengers number 2. It's a 6.5 white pages, but it is the UK price variant. And so you can see here it's got the 9D there instead of 12 cents. And so this is the 2nd appearance of the Avengers and the 1st appearance of the Space Phantom. I'm sure they're going to use him. But this book, it just always seems like it's super cheap. It never seems to get, it's not the greatest cover. It's not nearly as good as the cover from Avengers number 1. It always seems like this book is just super cheap for Avengers number 2. Just such an early, 1963 book. It almost even doesn't, I don't know I don't think it could get above a 6.5, but it almost looks like it hasn't been pressed. There's just the way the spine looks with those indents and everything. I don't know. But I don't think it can get above that. It's got enough other flaws on it that I think that's where it is. But this UK price variant trend is something that I've talked about, where I've seen prices on those going up, getting closer to cents prices. And in some rare cases, especially for like white page copies, exceeding cents prices. And so because this one ended up going for so cheap, I decided to pick it up. I thought it was a great pickup. And I prefer the cents copies too. I'm not innocent of that, but I will buy a pence copy if the price is right. Not the price is great for this one. All right. Now this is just from the classic run. The first issue by far worth the most in this grade. It's worth over $1,000. But this is issue number 2, quite a bit more affordable. This is Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. This is that just classic Frank Miller story, and I'm not a huge fan of the Frank Miller art. Me personally, I am not a huge fan of that artwork, but I do respect the book for what it is. Man, that back cover, not easy for grading. Definitely is not going to hide flaws. This is a square-bound book, and so basically once somebody read it, you pretty much made a crease along here, and so you're going to end up with much lower grades. You're going to have that reader crease almost guaranteed to be put into the book. But yeah, just a high grade 9.8 Batman Dark Knight Returns number 2. Thought it was a cool book to pick up and decided to grab it. I'd love to actually, I really do like the cover from the first issue. I'd love to get one of those, but man, they're expensive. And they don't really go for a discount very often. Sometimes you can get some ups and downs in prices, but that book has gotten way more expensive over the last couple years, and it seems to be staying up there. All right, now this is a little interesting because this is a Silver Age book that has slightly brittle pages. I have rarely ever seen that. Other than my Avengers No. 4, that Captain America, that first Silver Age Captain America that looked like it had gone through a fire, that had brittle pages. This one is actually a very nice looking copy. It's actually pretty shocking that it has slightly brittle pages. You wonder, did they like store it in an oven or something? But this is an example of why having that page quality can sometimes be a plus for the presentation of the book. So this is Captain America No. 100, and like, look at this book. This is a stunning copy of this book. But once you start getting down into those really low page qualities, slightly brittle, they do start to impact the grade. It's not something that I'm really overly familiar what the limits are, like how much it's going to hit you. I've had, I think the highest brittle page book I've had is maybe a 3.5. I think this is the highest slightly brittle I've had. I've had a 5.0 or a 5.5 slightly brittle before, but a 6.0 might be the highest slightly brittle I've ever had. But I mean, look at this book. Just a stunning copy. Spine is super clean. Bottom edge is really clean. You've got tiny little crease in the corner here. Right edge is just amazing. You've got a little corner blunting up here. I mean, this book would probably be like an 8.5. I mean, maybe even a 9 with that. I mean, just a stunning book. You've got a couple spine ticks on the back. Now that little one right there. And just a couple little spine ticks on the back. One right here. But just a stunning book. Like I said, like 8.5, maybe a 9 in terms of presentation, but a 6.0 in terms of grade. It's almost one of those things where you're just like, did they make a mistake? Is it really a slightly brittle page book where it was a book that was kept in such pristine condition, but the page quality is just trash? I almost want to resubmit it and see what happens, because if I just get lucky and get like light tan or creamed off white, this book's a 9.0. That's what happens with this book if you happen to get a better page quality with this one, because just like I said, beautiful copy, and that's why I ended up picking this one up, because I just thought it was so nice, and it went cheap because of the slightly brittle pages. Some people just they kind of like brush them off. They don't want to deal with them, but like I've said in some other videos, really what they do for page quality is if there's a small little piece that's poor page quality, they will give you the lowest grade. It's like you get the worst page quality that's in the book. And in this case, maybe there's some tiny little bit of brittleness on those pages, but this one, it's so nice, I feel like it might be worth a resubmission attempt. I'll have to see though, because man, just a killer copy in terms of presentation of that book. All right, last one from this box, and I've got the two more individual boxes. I have a couple copies of this book. I have another one that I don't know if I submitted to CGC in this last submission. It might not be. I think I was gonna submit it in my next one, but I don't remember. But I like this book. This is a great character. First appearance in the Golden Age is way too expensive, for me to likely ever afford. And that is Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 70. This is the first Silver Age appearance of Catwoman. And the thing, I had somebody ask about the importance of first Silver Age appearances. And with characters like Catwoman, characters like the Scarecrow, there were over 10 years, in some places more than that, between their appearances in the Golden Age and Silver Age. And so that's why those end up being considered relatively significant. With a character like the Joker, he was constantly appearing from his first appearance in Batman number 1, which is also her first appearance, through Silver Age, Bronze Age. He was never removed as part of the Comics Code Authority or anything like that, whereas she was. Having this female villain, I guess, was considered too risque or whatever for the Comics Code Authority, and so she was essentially removed from the storylines for quite a few years. I think maybe about 14 years, 12 years, something like that. And then Scarecrow was removed for quite a few years. Another one is Two-Face. Two-Face was deemed too violent or whatever, and so he didn't come back until the Bronze Age. Even though it's called his first Silver Age appearance, he didn't come back till the Bronze Age. But so yeah, that's why some of these like this, they have big gaps between their appearances, why they become so important. Also just because that it's so expensive. The first appearance, it's Batman #1. You're not getting that book for under tens of thousands of dollars in just a restored, horrible condition. And so, but you can afford this one, which is actually on the cover, and it's a much more affordable book. It has been getting pricier lately. It's been dropping a little bit, but I think it's just a great book. It is in a relatively obscure title, so that's a thing that kind of hurts a little bit. One thing that's cool, this one, it has this Pence stamp, 10D. That's what that's referring to. It's this means it was probably sent over to the UK, something like that, and was sold there at one point. Made its way back to the US. It's got a little bit of ink. I don't know if that's distributor ink or just, it looks, it's the same color as this. So it's almost like they set it down on a table and that where they had the pad that they had the stamp from, and they just set the book right in that. But this one, it's a 5.0. It's got a couple pretty strong color breaking creases, but it's still a pretty nice presenting book. You've got a little staining going on up here, and some, let's see if we're going to show up here. You've got some like spine wear kind of going along here in the spine. So it's the grade that it is, but I really like this book. I think it's a great book. A good DC key. All right, so I've got 2 books left here. Remember which one's which. One of them is a big Silver Age book, and one of them is a Golden Age book. Let's go with the Golden Age book first. Hold the Silver Age book off to the end. So, this is one I just picked up. It's one of these things where I've kind of been like unintentionally putting this run of books together from the Golden Age, and I just when I see them come up, if it's a price I can swing, I go for it, just because I keep seeing books like this going up in value. There's so few of them. You rarely see them come up for sale. I don't want to accidentally cut the case. You rarely see them come up for sale, and so I tend to take my chances when I see them, because I don't see them as, that's one of the things I like about this type of Golden Age book. I don't see them as a huge risk. I mean, yeah, it's a smaller set of collectors that purchase them, but like myself, it is a very dedicated set of collectors, and also like myself, that when they come up for sale, you're probably, you may not see that book come up for sale again for years. And so if you want to add that to your collection, if it's a book you were going after, then you need to, you shoot your shot then. And so let's see, let's get this little bit of rough. So this is a nice grade for this book. It is a little bit of a controversial, say kind of like not safe for work type book, but not too bad. I mean, it's pretty cartoony. But this is Punch Comics number 20. So I've talked about that Punch Comics run, and you can see this is why it's this, I say the not safe for work. A couple of the women that are in the clutches of this giant vulture do not have tops. So that's why it's actually notated in the label there, bare-breasted women cover. So that's why a little bit of a, I guess, controversial type cover. But the Punch Comics run has a bunch of great pre-code type covers in it. This one is actually almost kind of like a mix of sci-fi and pre-code, because you've got kind of this horror element of this giant vulture capturing these women, and then this woman here, it looks like with like a rocket pack. And so just really cool cover in a 5.5. I mean, it's 1947. Punch Comics is an early run of books. The reason I've talked about this run a lot is Punch Comics 12 is one of the most expensive Golden Age books of all time. I mean, a 2.0 or a 2.5 just recently sold for like $22,000 or $25,000. I mean, it's an extremely expensive book, and a lot of the other books in the run have been getting more attention because of that. And so I think now I have 10, 11, 15, 19, and 20 from that run. And the run actually starts, it's like 1, 2, 3, then jumps to 9. I believe that's what it goes. Then it's 9 through, I think, 21. I don't remember exactly, but I have a surprisingly high number of them for such a rare set of books. But Again, it's got that Baby Ruth bar, Baby Ruth ad on the back cover, but 5.5, off-white to white pages, just stunning copy of this book. Decided it was well worth going after, especially for this, like I said, unintentional run of those books that I've been putting together. 12, I would say, is probably my favorite cover. I can't argue with that for the run, but I really like 19. 19 is an awesome cover, and then 9 is a really cool cover. I'd love to get that one, but that one's gotten really expensive. 9 is like this guy who's like an artist or something, or a sketch artist, and it's got like all these tiny people like stabbing him on the cover. It's a brutal cover. Now this one, I'll say, like, I honestly, I feel a little weird buying it because I've been talking about these books lately. Oh, nice, I got another package like this. I've been talking about these lately as books that I generally steer clear of. But that's why I always say, every time, and it's every time I've unboxed one, I'm like, it all depends on the price of that book. I've seen that in general, the prices for these books just skyrocketing lately. And but if I see one that's listed for well below what the prices have been, or if it's, in this case, a very high grade, so it's extremely rare in grade, then I'm more willing to take that risk on the book. But the current like market prices on a lot of like the mid or lower grade books are just through the roof, and they make me very nervous. But what I was talking about is I haven't had a book package like this in a while, where they take like a pool noodle. It's like the best packaging. It's such a good way to package, but it's so expensive, like cutting up a pool noodle every time. And it's just, it's like bulletproof packaging for slabs. But yeah, I'd gotten one of those a while ago, and I had joked about making maybe a video of like throwing it off the roof to see if it would, if the slab would survive the impact because of this pool noodle packaging. But this one, and the same with that Punch Comics, I picked up, because sometimes people ask, where I buy books, and sometimes I say, sometimes I don't. I picked both of these up on Instagram from Elite Comics 11. They had their, they post books for sale, and the Punch Comics, I saw it go up, and I think I claimed it relatively quick. This one had actually been posted multiple times, and I kept seeing the price drop. And so it finally reached a point where I was comfortable with the price, and I sent an offer, and they accepted, and so decided to go for it. And, it's such a high grade copy. An incredible book to have. This is Incredible Hulk. And that wasn't meant to be a pun. So this is Incredible Hulk number 5 in an 8.0. An 8.0 for these early Hulk books is insane. And so that's what I'm talking about, where the exception I made was that this is such a high grade copy. These are extremely rare in these grades. This is in the top 10% of all copies out there in this grade. And, it's and I would say presents even better than an 8.0. It's pretty close, maybe an 8.5. One of the things that hurts it a little bit is it's got some of that tanning on the bottom of the cover on the back there. It's got a little crease down in this corner here, but just a stunning book. It is a first appearance of Tyrannus, not a character that is really used all that often or anything, but still an 8.0 of Incredible Hulk number 5. And this goes with the other book I was talking about that I picked up recently. This one, Incredible Hulk number 2, First Green Hulk, and a 6.5. And so, a 6.5 in this book is equally as insane as an 8.0 in this book. They don't exist in these grades. They don't ever come up for sale in these grades. I think the highest grade on eBay right now for this book is like a 5.5. That's the gap that you have between what is generally available and what this book is. And so that's why I thought this was just such an awesome book to pick up. And it's a cool early Hulk cover. It's really active, him smashing out. It's an awesome Jack Kirby cover. These are both Jack Kirby, but I think, 5, the cover for 5 is definitely a cooler Hulk, kind of like crushing what's around him cover than 2. 2 is definitely more significant. First Green Hulk, much more significant book. Second Hulk, second appearance of a bunch of characters. But yeah, Incredible Hulk number 5. January 1963. Super early still for Hulk. Back cover, and yeah. So I think just having these two, and they're very similar looking books. So very similar style. except for the incredible part at the top is a different color. But yeah, 6.5 in that 2, and then an 8.0 for this 5. Even though, like I said, I've been saying generally the prices on 1 through 6 have just been going crazy. Just be very cautious with them. But I felt like this was a good price, especially considering the grade and the rarity in grade. I can't think of the last time I've seen this book and this grade come up for sale. So thought it was awesome to pick up, and that's why I watch all kinds of different places for books. Like I had somebody that commented recently where I said, I was saying like, these are the 3 books that I would be buying. It was based on unboxing, 3 books that I thought were good options to pick up. And they said, well, yeah, if you actually saw those books, of course you'd buy those. And I said, my response was, I do see them all the time. If you're just going into your LCS, sure, you're probably not going to see Incredible Hulk number 5 in an 8.0. There's only a few of them out there. You're not going to see Incredible Hulk number 2 in a 6.5. There's only a few of them out there. They're not going to show up in your LCS. But if you're keeping your options open and you're checking eBay, Heritage, Comic Link, Comic Connect, Instagram, Facebook, you check all these places, there are a lot of these books that, Silver Age books, there's thousands of them out there. You can find them, and that's just graded thousands. When you talk about ungraded, even more. And so there are a lot of avenues for books out there as long as you're willing to put in the time and the effort to find them. And I know not everybody can do that. And so that's where it can be tougher to find some of those. But if you use those different resources to find books, they are available out there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Saw some cool books. I had a nice mix of some cool rare Golden Age books and some high grade Silver Age books. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.